Yeah, that. Oh, right. Yeah, but it's interesting. I've got no volume coming from you guys. Yeah. I can hear you, but there's nothing coming. Yeah, oh, that's why. You need to be on that one. Okay, I think you'll be there now. Have a chat.
Hello.
Yeah, that's
Hello.
it. Okay, let's just reduce mine because I tend to be a lot louder than everybody else for some unknown reason. Hello and welcome.
I can't hear you. Oh, I might be able to hear you on stream. It's just that I don't.
It's so loud.
Don't worry.
Yeah. So yes, hello and welcome. Several things that we need to say. I might become a little bit sort of like jumpy or whatever because I seem to have an issue down at my end about something, but hopefully that will not detract from your enjoyment of the game. Yes, you've tuned in on a Thursday night. Normally we would be playing Call of Cthulhu at this time. However, we finished that off last week, and Mr. Pickles only has 2 more?
Today included.
Yeah, he's not dying or anything.
Yeah.
Only 2 more weeks for Mr. Pickles.
Or is it?
Only 2 more weeks because it's early
So
morning.
please donate to Mr. Pickles.
Yeah.
He does have a GoFundMe page.
Yeah. What time is it there, Mr. Pickles?
If you want me to live, please donate.
It's 11:15. It's 5 minutes past 11 in the morning.
Oh, bless you.
Oh, you've got a good day coming up, don't worry.
Is it? Is that right?
That's exactly my time.
Yes. That is awesome.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice day.
It is, yeah. And we're going to start it off really nicely for you because we have we've dragged Medivac in and to try to make up the numbers in order to thank you for the little bitties, Mr. Chugga-Wugga. And yeah, we've dragged in Medivac to make up the numbers, and we have decided to venture forth into the world of Starfinder once again. And yeah, I've just realised I don't have the rule book open, but it doesn't matter. I'll just make it up like I normally do. Yeah, I'll wing it. Yeah. Somebody once told me that, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were referring to that. Anyway, so we're going to be heading off into the world of Starfinder, blasting off into space. But before we do that, there is... who are you gifting to?
I don't know what I'm doing.
We're going to have...
I want my bits. Bugger off.
Yeah. Anyway, before we get on, and I'm going to allow the players an opportunity for them to say who they are and who they'll be playing tonight while I grab the rule book. And we'll start off down there, which is Mr. Chugga-Wugga. Off you go.
Hi guys, I'm Chugga-Wugga. The character I'm going to be playing tonight is a Yozoki technomancer by the name of Dave. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the Starfinder races, the Yozoki are large humanoid rodents, typically 3 to 4 foot tall, which walk upright on their hind legs. As a technomancer, Dave has a deep understanding of the connections between magic and technology, a connection that most others, including the other 2 that I'm playing with, just don't understand. This understanding allows him to utilize technology to empower and manipulate his magic, but also he can use his magic to augment and alter and control technology. Now, Dave is currently a wanted rodent on Castrovel, the homeworld of the Lashunta, after an unfortunate incident involving a lament of configuration which mysteriously went missing from the museum and was later to appear in one of Dave's chief characters. I shall pass on to Mr. Pickles.
Wow, that was you have a lot more backstory than I was expecting. And Dave is my favorite of your Starfinder characters. I'm Mr. Pickles, and
He only has 2.
You can have a favourite when there's 2.
You can have a favorite, just like my parents had a favorite of the 2 kids they had.
Mum had 5 children, and
I'm the favourite.
neither of us were the favourite.
Oh no! Well, that's just statistics right there.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm Mr. Pickles. I'm playing an android named BuddyBot. I'm the playful model, a BuddyBot 4000, for those of you familiar with the BuddyBot line. I'm an android envoy that more or less serves as a friendly spirit programmed for fun, friendship, and making contacts. I had a previous owner who no longer needs my services for reasons that I haven't determined yet. But more or less, BuddyBot can serve any. He's not completely dead. He's just arrested. It's whatever. We don't talk about him. But BuddyBot is trained in computer work, in diplomacy, in approaching youth on starship docks to make friends. He's good with the criminal elements, I'd say. But other than that, his gender is copper, and I'll just throw it on over to Medivac.
Why, thank you, Mr. Pickles. I play Zatharius, or as people will call him, Zaf. He's a Kazath. He has grey skin, 4 arms, and he comes from the planet Kazath, which is now gone, sadly. They live on a they live on a home ship just orbiting, is it Akiton, called the Indari. He's on what most young Kazathians go on, which is a walkabout to find, well, basically to blow his oats and have fun before he has to settle down to the serious things of gathering culture, learning about other races, and being the wealth of information that he truly is. So yes, he believes in balance. He likes melee combat. There's nothing more honourable than defeating a foe in hand to hand, or hammer to hammer, as Hammer said. And with that, I shall pass on to our GM.
Yeah. I don't know, are they called is it called GM in Starfinder?
I'm not sure.
Did you know, Mr. Pickles, that in Washington at the present moment in time it's 26 degrees Celsius, and if you're a Fahrenheit person, it's 78.8.
Was that Washington or Washington, D.C.?
Washington, D.C. It says cloudy with an 86% chance of humidity. Just so you know.
Well, my friend's just come out from New York, and apparently it's been over there.
It's been what, sorry?
Pretty rubbish, weather-wise.
Let's have a look.
Cold.
New York. Yeah, 24 degrees C.
Oh, so
Cloudy.
cold.
82% humidity.
Did they not name that twice?
Well, apparently so.
Yeah, only because it was so good. So
Yeah.
anyway, so
Old York.
yeah. So whereabouts are you not liked, Dave?
The Yashunta homeworld. It's not that I'm not light. I'm just
Which is the Yushunta's homeworld?
It is the
one furthest away from
Castrovel.
everybody.
Say again, sorry.
Castrovel. Is it?
Ah,
That's a beautiful planet.
yeah, it's a beautiful planet. Okay, so this week's adventure takes the players to Castrovel. No, not at all. So I don't know if you remember the storyline. I actually sat last night, actually creating the adventure, watching last week's the last session that we had, and the last session, and there will be bonus points coming up for this. So get ready. The last adventure was to go off and find a pilot. What was the pilot's name?
Oh, gosh.
It wasn't. Oh gosh.
No, I watched it a moment ago as well.
Was it R2D2?
No, it was Yokoshi, Mars Planet for Delaney, Shylands, Charles. No,
I don't even have the correct.
Findham Young.
He was called Hank Shaw. Or Hank Saw.
Bob.
His name was Bob. Yes, and you, if you remember, Hank Saw his name was, and if you remember, you went out to pick him up from a
Docking bay.
A docking bay, and he wasn't there, if you remember. And then you head off, and you had a bit of interaction in a bar, which was this bar, with three Shirans called the Sisters, if you remember. And you also met some space goblins.
Yeah.
At that point, and at that point, Zaf may try to make a joke, and sort of like he said, "I am armless," and the space goblin said, "No, you're not. You have lots of arms."
Right.
And that sort of like went downhill from there. Eventually, you went.
That was base 56427, wasn't it?
Yes, and then you went off to a place called the Lazy Sunrise, which was an apartment, as Frankie, Chuggerwugger's other character, who also had a robot called Babs, as Frankie said in the adventure, she turned around to the rest of you and says, I think that's where you pay for rooms by the hour rather than by the day, etc. And you went off to the Lazy Sunrise. When you got there, and I think I think I've got rid of the battle, but there was a battle there, if you remember, and there was
corridor.
Yeah, that is right. It was in the corridor, and if I remember correctly, it's not that one. It must be this one. No, it's not that one. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Chink. It was this one. Do you remember this?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they were in the room at the end.
Yeah, they were here, and there was what appeared to be there was this character.
Is that the drow?
Yeah, he was a drow bounty hunter. That's right. Who did some serious damage to and so the whole purpose of this was to get a pilot, because you are pilotless. Okay, and if you remember, you have located some Starfinder insignias, and then you went off to the Endless Threnody when you went on board, and it had the skeleton cruise, if you remember.
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
The cold fields.
That's it. And then you came back, and then you were looking for a pilot. And it's at this point, when you have Hank Saw with you, that we pick up the adventure. Now, I don't know if you remember, so I'm just going to tell you straight off. There was you had to get a pilot because you had to travel to a planet.
Oh, it's not the Eox.
No, Eox is the undead planet.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay then. So, and if you remember, do you remember who your main your NPC was?
Bob.
Oh, the admiral person.
Yeah, Venture Captain Arvin, if you remember.
Yes, Arvin.
Yeah. Okay. So it is in Absalon Station, in one of the in the base of the Starfinder Society. If you remember, it exists in one of the spires in Absalon Station, that you meet again the day after or the week after, when you've all been healed up. You can, if you've got any damage on yourself, you can take that off and put yourself up to full hit points, because you're back up there with everybody else. And you've been summoned to Venture Captain Arvin's office once again. And if you remember, you sit outside with the secretary before he actually calls you in, and you do notice that with you have Hank Saw, and Hank Saw is a bit like Han Solo, but a lot dirtier, and you definitely can smell alcohol, probably quite strong alcohol. And Buddybot, your sort of like internal filters identify it as something known as Starblazer, which is a mixture of what old-fashioned whiskey and vodka mixed in together and then redistilled. So it's quite excessive alcohol and very strong. You do notice that he's looking slightly. Does anybody have a medical skill?
I do. Medicine.
Yeah, so if you would like to... now, just to remind you, the game is set over DCs, difficulty challenges. So if you would like to make your medicine or first aid or whatever, and the DC is only 5 on this, it won't take you much to do. Oof, luckily.
Oh, my life.
Was that a 2? A 3? A 3.
3.
Oh yeah, that's much better. You just need to change your little picture, Mr. Pickles.
I look at him, he's drunk, and you go, yes, and that's because he's drunk.
Yeah, you figured that he's drunk copious amounts of this Starblazer, probably the night before, and his bio readings are quite rough. He's demonstrating low potassium, immense dehydration, and a slight sickly feeling of nausea is being registered. And he sort of like slumped into a chair and sort of like looking quite worse for wear. And the secretary, Captain Arvin's secretaries, are giving him a rather doubtful look, or even how dare you mess up my plastic chairs with your unkempt body.
Dave sort of like sat there, and he's just playing with this lament configuration cube that he has, which I don't know if anybody's watched Hellraiser. That's what it is.
Is there a lot of blood in Hellraiser?
Yeah, it's a horror film you want to watch.
I want to watch.
But he's just sort of like moving it around, and occasionally he turns a bit, and a bit pops up, and he pushes it down again, and he looks pretty bored with himself at the moment. But he's doing that. He's
Cool.
playing with a small cube.
Yeah, and in true apprentice style, the communication device on the secretary's table rings, and as she is slowly tapping her fingernails, different colours. Bonus point if you could tell me the film.
I want to say Arnold Schwarzenegger, Total Recall.
And you would be correct.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, when he goes to what's the name of the company?
Total Recall.
Oh yeah, oh duh. And she's
Fly,
there,
hello.
and she's tapping her fingernails, changing the colour on it.
That's right. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the proper Total Recall, not the
Philip K. Dick one.
yeah,
Not the crappy remake.
not the crappy.
Oh no,
when
sorry, the remake with Bullseye.
I haven't seen the remake, but I just like the.
Colin Farrell. Yeah.
So anyway, so she's all like that, and in true apprentice style, the communicator rings, and she picks it up, and she says, "Yes, Venture Captain, I'll send them in now." And she puts it down, and she turns to you all, 4 of you, and sort of like says, "Venture Captain Alwyn, we'll see you now."
Dave will stand up with almost a sigh, open his mouth, and just pop the small cube back in his mouth.
Yeah, and
I'll stand up and poke Hank and poke him again.
yeah, Hank sort of like goes, "Oh, you go without me, leave me here to die.
Unfortunately,
I am
Hank,
not
you
worthy."
must come with us. So if you don't stand up now, I will have to stand you up.
I have a funny feeling if I stand up now, I might puke.
I shall point you towards a desk. You'll be fine.
Maybe a dustbin will be better than a desk.
I say we
sure-
let him puke. I think
sure
it'll be
Dustbin never bites.
entertaining.
And he sort of like staggers himself to his feet, and you sort of like all head off into Captain Arvin's room, and as always, as you enter, he sort of like has his back to you. He's staring out of his full circular window in his corner office, gazing around. He has his hands behind his back, and you sort of like come in and sort of like remain standing. And after a brief pause, he turns around and he sort of like sees you all and says, "Be seated, please, gentlemen." And he comes over and he sits down on his chair and he presses a couple of buttons, and you see that the lights in the room darken, and what appears to be like a holographic projector comes to life, and there's a planet revolving round in front of you. It looks very, very yellow, and he sort of like looks at you all and says, "Anybody recognize this planet? If anybody's got a suitable skill."
I was going to say, can I
Would
use
life science be suitable?
Hang on, I'm just getting a character sheet up so I can see, because I always forget.
Culture would be a good one, I think.
I always forget, and then there's going to be a moment throughout this game that I suddenly say, roll athletics or acrobatics or whatever it's called in this game. What is it called? Acrobatics.
You got both, actually.
Yeah. Oh yes. I remember now. Yeah, because Zaf was parkouring the last adventure. Yeah. So you can roll for me anything to do with. If you got things like physical sciences, you can roll that. If you've got a computer skill, then you can roll that. There'll just be a slightly bigger difficulty challenge on that. But you can roll either or.
Could I do a culture one for my race, knowing lots about things? Or
the reason is no, and you will see in a second why.
I'll go for computers.
Physical science, you say?
Yeah, physical science or computers is fine. 15, and Mr. Pickles just needs to change his icon.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Oh my
Second
God.
time.
If
you're in school now, you would be out.
Yes, time's a charm.
We've got to make exceptions. He is from America.
Would you stop?
I'll accept that.
Hashtag racist.
I meant difference in the time zone.
All right, both Dave and Buddybot, you were quite successful in your roles, and because of that, you recognise that this is not actually a planet in this sort of like solar system. It's not a planet that you recognise at all, and you sort of like look at it, and Captain Arvin sort of like waits for a while, and when nobody answers, he sort of says, "Yes, that is correct. This is Ulmarid. It's a rather isolated planet in the vast." And if you remember, the vast is sort of like outside the solar, through the rift, and then out in the vast unknown solar system. And he says, yes, the planet's two moons collided years ago, resulting in a field of tumbling debris in the high orbit that prevents easy access to the planet's surface. However, it has come to our attention that Ulmarid is where the distress beacon was sent. That originally the people who, if you remember, the ghoul-like creature who had the Starfinder insignias came from. So it looks like, now that you've found your pilot, and he points to Hank, it looks like you are prepared to head off into this planet, and your mission is quite simple. We need to know as much as you can tell us about the crashed spaceship, and also we would like to know if there's any survivors there that you can bring back to us here on Absalon Station. Yes, it's quite a journey through the drift, So there will be limited long-range communications due to the vast. But we should have enough communications to get you out there. Now, you might have been very familiar with the Law Seeker. Well, unfortunately, the Law Seeker is not the best ship for this. We have a larger Drake-class vessel called the Odyssey. Yes, I can see some of you by your rather large pupils that you are familiar with the Odyssey. And yeah, let me send you the details of the Odyssey to your communicator so you can marvel in the vastness of this ship. Yes, you'll notice it's a tier 4 ship. It has substantial shields, both forward, aft, and it is quite maneuverable in space. You also will notice that the armament is quite significant. It has 2 front-facing weapons, a coil gun, and a heavy laser cannon. A coil gun to the aft, and also in the turret a 3rd coil gun and high explosive missile launchers. All in all, it's quite an extensive ship. You will notice as well the total hit points is quite substantial. If you remember, the Law Seeker only had 55 max. This one is a lot bigger. Can you all see the ship?
Yeah, Dave's going to say why the change in ship.
He says, well, obviously venturing out in the vast is probably wiser to get a bigger ship, and also we are not too sure about how easy it is going to be to pilot down through the asteroid debris in high orbit. So just in case your pilot here, Mr. Saw, lacks the appropriate skills, we decided to give you slightly more armament.
Just our character, is this the unbound wayfarer we're looking for, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, thank you.
Yeah, so the Unbound Wayfarer is where you got where, if you remember the ghoul from the first ever adventure.
That's right, the endless Threnody.
Yeah, Threnody. Yeah. So so that's what you are looking for, and this almost like completes that series of adventures. Captain says, obviously you are slightly short on personnel, so it will be worth you discussing the roles you would like to play on the Odyssey, and then we can help you with any additional personnel that you may require. And he's sort of like he's around to ask any questions, but also it is now an opportunity for you to decide who is going to play which role on the ship. And if you look in your handout, as always, there's a series of the roles, as in ROLE, on the ship. Obviously, unless somebody has a piloting skill, Hank Saw will probably take the pilot role. But if you are short of anything else, then including a captain, then the Starfinder Society will provide one for you.
I was good last time, but I don't think I was very good, apart from Miss Buddybot. Sorry, it gave me some lovely buffs to help me.
So basically, the role of the captain, as you can see from the sheet, is very much almost like a face character, a socialite. So you can have like intimidation checks that you can demand, or you can have encourage, which is I forget which skill.
Sorry, where's the roles? Because I've only got engineering role up.
Oh
No,
yeah,
I only have
you were
science.
there last time you were on, you see, and I was going to last time, and
yeah.
this-
So you've just got the roles that you can have are basically science officer and pilot, gunner role, engineer, and captain. Okay, so basically the pilot is the person, they can add bonuses, etc., to other people, and obviously they're in command as well. Engineering role is what Dave had last time. Gunner role, I think, is what Zaf had last time, and science officer, I think, is what Buddybot had last time.
Yep.
And pilot was Longshanks EPG's character.
that's right. The captain was an NPC, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, you don't actually have to have a captain. You can actually fly the ship without one. It's just whether or not you would like somebody there as a sort of like a person in
We
command.
do. I think didn't we get a bonus last time for having somebody's captain? Did we have somebody's captain last time? Was it
We had
who?
we had the gentleman who's in front of us now, venture.
Oh,
captain.
that's right. Adventure captain. Yes, Marvin.
So basically, the captain can you can make a demand of a crew member to try to improve their bonus, their performance. You grant a +4 bonus to one specific check by succeeding in an intimidation check. You can encourage another member of the crew to give them a bonus to their action, and what that gives you a +2. Or you can taunt. You can use communication systems to broadcast a taunting message to an enemy vessel, and you attempt to bluff or intimidate. And if you're successful, each enemy character acting during the selected phase gets -2 penalty for 1 to 4 rounds. So the captain is generally the person who is sat there barking orders. But he can either demand or encourage in order to give a boost. You don't have to have a captain. To me, it's one of the roles that you don't actually need if you don't want to. But I don't want to exclude anything, so you can choose whichever one you would like.
And if I remember correctly, it's not possible for one person to do 2 roles.
No, well, it's not possible for one person to do 2 roles within any action phase. So the action phases go. I think there's actually a sheet on it. Did I put it in?
Oh, wrong folder.
I got actions in combat, but
Did I not put the?
I think I have it. I have it somewhere.
So basically, what happens is that there's a series of you have almost like you have a variety of sort of like roles that go past, and it goes through various phases. So the pilot role goes first. The pilot goes first, and then the gunner. Then the science officer, then the engineer, or something like that. I thought I printed it out for you. So the engineer goes first, so they can you start off with the pilot, they roll first, and then engineers.
It's on our handouts, action rolls in combat.
Yeah, brilliant. Is it in the Law Seeker one?
Oh no, I stand corrected. Sorry,
I think if you look at the Law Seeker handout, if you can see that.
Attributes bio.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you see that?
Yep.
Oh, right, yeah.
So you can see that it's separated up into 3 phases. So each character on board the starship typically acts in only one of these phases. So engineer, you can repair. Then each starship attempts a piloting check, and the one with the lowest goes first. And if you remember, that means they have to move their starship first.
That's right. That's what Longshanks was doing, wasn't he?
Yeah, and then so the people who sort of like goes first is at a disadvantage, because then the other person can move. Also during the helm phase, science officers act, and you can lock on targets and things like that. Then the gunner goes, and then we go right the way back to the beginning and so forth.
And
so on.
the science officer is to do with computers, yeah?
So the science officer has, well, they have two basic things. They have balance, so they can redirect the shields.
But it's computer based.
I think all of them are computer based. Yeah,
Right.
No matter what. And then the engineer's role, that is all engineer based, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I was the weakest link, so I went gunnery.
Because you can't do anything else.
No. I can throw things at the screen. Go.
Yeah, so it's completely up to you how you would like to go. If there's a role missing, then sorry.
Sorry,
Sacre bleu.
my roll 20.
Yeah, Chuggerwugger's gone off already. Hasn't even started. So it's up to you. You can either you can choose not to have a role. You can have it that somebody dual roles, but they can't. They only act in one pass. So the engineer can then, or the gunner can rush to the shields if they wish to rebalance them or whatever like that. If nobody wants to be the captain, then you can have a choice. Either a captain will be put on board the ship for you, or you can just run it without a captain and just use yourself as people.
I think we should have a captain on board. I will take a role of gunner again because I think it worked rather well last time.
And plus you don't have computing or engineering.
Who said that? Computing is not needed.
I would be able to take the captain role. I'm not very good at bluffing or intimidating, but my diplomacy is fairly decent. I'm better at computers, so science officers. I mean, what I should do if we're going by best skills, but we could always request a science officer, and then I could just give you guys encouragement, tell you guys, hey, you're doing a good job. You're gonna blast them away.
Doesn't BuddyBot do that in? BuddyBot does that in combat. I seem to remember.
It's what I was programmed for.
Yeah, it's not like a bard. You're turning into another bard, Mr. Pickle.
Always.
Well, Dave's an excellent engineer. He's a very good science officer. He's a fairly good pilot.
Okay, so it's up to you which roles you. If you don't want Hank, then that's absolutely fine.
Well, we can take Hank. Is it possible for one console to have two different people on it at any one time?
It depends.
But for example, could we have Hank piloting, Zaf gunning, Buddy doing captain and also monitoring the science.
Yeah.
And also Dave doing engineering, but also monitoring the science.
Yeah, so what that would mean is that, for example, if they came to, say, for example, you want to scan for enemy ships or adjust the shields, if Dave has already acted in the engineer phase, which is the first one, he then couldn't act in the helm phase with the science officer because he's had his go for that round. So you couldn't have one person acting in the engineer, then piloting the ship, etc.
No, but if we were only doing, for example, a lot of the time engineering's not needed unless the ship takes damage that goes through its shields.
So in which case leave the if you think engineer's not needed, then why not just leave that Why doesn't Dave man the science station?
Then run back to engineer when needed.
Yeah, and then just sort of like after the gunnery phase, after we go back, then you can actually move to engineering if needed. If that's the one that we think is the least effective, then leave that one empty. That's what I would be saying.
As Captain Buddy, I feel like we shouldn't have any empty roles. We should be making a request to the Starfinders. They've offered for us to make a request. We can fill empty roles.
What one agrees. If we need a person for a space, then we shall get a human for a space.
Let's get a star engineer. And Dave, you can monitor the science.
Well, if we're getting somebody else in, I might as well keep with the role that I do best, which is engineering, and we get a science officer.
Yeah,
let's get a science officer.
The only thing that I would say about that is that if engineering, like you said, is hardly ever used, then it seems silly having an NPC doing something that is used a lot, and then a player character just spending a lot of the time doing nothing in each of the combat phase. That's what I would be saying. Because you want everybody. You three need to be active throughout the phase. What I don't want, sorry, maybe
in the last combat phase, Chugger, you didn't really do much, did you? Apart from just flicking power from A to B, wasn't it?
I didn't even do that. I don't think. Flipping power from A to B was
that's science, was it? Well, you want to be science in that case. And an NPC who is going to be adjusting just whatever engineering does, which is power to the thrusters, whatever. I don't know engineering. Should be an NPC in that case then.
Basically, what the engineer does is it has things like patching or diversion of power.
Right. Yeah. Sorry.
So if a system actually goes down, the engineer has two things. They can either do a one-off roll that almost like temporarily fixes it, or patching is that they do it again and again and again and again. They're always trying to fiddle around with the wires to try to keep things up and running.
That's right. I remember that.
I think if anything, Dave would stick with doing the engineering because that's what he likes. He likes fiddling with the technology and getting it ready and using his magic to help that. So I think if anything, he would probably stick with the engineering side of it rather than the.
Okay then. So Dave's going to stick with engineering. Zaf, of course, you're going to go with gunnery.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're going to use Hank as the pilot.
Yep.
And then are you going to get a science officer, or is Dave going to do both jobs, i.e. stand at the science officer thing, but when you get into combat, because that's really only when the engineer sort of like bursts into action, is that a case that when you're going to move, or BuddyBot, you can actually have the science officer controls at your captain's station if you wish, or
let's do it that way. So we'll leave science free, and then whoever needs to go to science, it being BuddyBot or hello Dave, we'll do. Yes,
I think it's a good idea. Yeah.
Yep.
But Buddy, you are going to be Captain Bot. Yeah.
Yes. Can I request the captain handout?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was waiting for, because nobody has it yet.
Yeah.
So you should be able to see it now.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, and can you all see the Odyssey?
Can indeed. It's like a lovely round circle with bits on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you can see the token, yeah?
I'm not on it. Yes, I can.
Okay, so
yes. Sorry,
I'm just going.
Oh, it's not a circle.
That should be all right. You should all have the ability to move that. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay then, so after a bit of a debate, we have deciding who's going to do what. So you've all got your roles, and then Captain Venture sort of like leads you down to see the Odyssey, and you're quite impressed with the Odyssey. It's not sort of a low tech vessel. It's quite a substantial starship, and as you come to the loading dock, the landing bay, you notice it's there, and it looks incredibly new and shiny. And as the Venture Captain Irvin walks you to it with his hands behind his back in his usual fashion, he sort of like proclaims to you about that the Odyssey is fresh out of Starport. It's never been used. All its equipment is top-notch, top of the line interactions, communications, scans, and very new railguns and missile launchers. Something that the Starfinder Society are incredibly proud of the Odyssey, and it's almost like maybe even one day going to be a flagship for a whole load of transporters, because that's essentially what it is. And you almost like feel a little bit as if somebody's just giving you their pride and glory. And as you sort of like step on and assume your positions on the station, on the bridge, and when people start to activate the thrusters and release the umbilical cords, and you slowly ease, Hank slowly eases the Odyssey out, and as it goes through the door, there's a slight negative drift to it, and as he sort of like gives a bit of a belch, and then sort of like says sorry, and sort of like steers it back in. You do hear Venture Captain's voice come over the communicators, and he basically says, "Please don't bring it back scratched. It will cost a great amount to get it repaired." And Hank sort of like goes, "Double oops," as he sort of like seems to be slightly drunk in charge of a spacecraft, and he presses the buttons, and Captain Buddy sort of like directs him to the appropriate jump point into the rift, and you press the button and you leave the solar system, going to the rift. And if you remember, you're traveling here, and this is a place that is multiplanal, so every time you use it, you actually open a small amount of area to the other planes of existence, and you travel along, and quite naturally the sensors are continually being read as you go through, because even though it's going to be quite a distance, you will have some time on here. So just while you're flying through the dead space, is there anything that any of you would like to do or say, etc.?
Yeah, first thing that Dave's going to be doing is, especially with it being a new ship, he's going to be running diagnostics on the engineering.
Okay then.
Just making sure that everything's up to scratch. He also wants to be checking what spare parts are on the ship as well, just in case he needs to fit anything else in. And apart from that, he'll probably have a good look round. Also have a look at the star charts. Which planet is...
Hang on. Let's do one thing at a time. So if you remember, there's in Starfinder, there's 3 options when you roll. You can either just roll your dice and add on your modifiers, etc. Then there's something called Take 10, and that is when you've got a little bit more time, and therefore you don't roll a dice. You actually start with the number 10, and add on your skills, etc. And then there's a further one called Take 20. And in which case you don't start with a 10, you automatically get a 20 and then add on your skill modifiers. But remember, difficulty challenge could be something like 28. Okay, so the first thing that needs to happen is that you need to just roll your engineering skill, Dave, so you become accustomed to the controls, etc. And that will probably you'll probably take 20 for that. Because you're going to be in substantial space. Captain Buddy and Zaf, is there anything that you would like to do during this time?
You're muted, Medivac, if you're talking.
I am talking. Thank you very much. I'm going to just I'm going to familiarize myself with the weapons, the lovely heavy laser cannon.
Yeah, I think is it front? Is it turreted or front?
No, it's front facing.
Yeah. So
I'm going to try to use my intuition to weight the benefits of that, or using the coil gun high explosive.
Yeah. Did I put the damage on it?
Oh, in fact, explosive missiles 44. You didn't need.
Yeah.
48.
Yeah, so you sort of like use that, and you get used to.
Oh, there's a turret one as well. Sorry, my apologies.
Yeah. There's a rail gun, coil gun.
Yeah. Coil gun, yeah, that's right.
So you get used to the actual sensitivity of it, because the Law Seeker was a well used ship. It wasn't.
It's very sluggish, bringing it round.
Yeah, exactly. So you can probably take 20 and roll your gunnery skill. And Captain Buddy, do you prefer Captain Buddy or Captain Bot?
I prefer Captain Buddy, but I won't penalize anybody for saying Captain Bot or Captain 4000.
He's talking about penalising you already, guys, and he's just settled back in that chair.
I before we left, I installed some Captain attitude.
Excellent. So what would Captain Buddy like to do?
I would like to spend this time trying to befriend Hank Saw a little bit, trying to get into his head, figuring out how he works, and I'd probably say something along the lines of Starblazer, whiskey and vodka redistilled. That's very powerful stuff. My former employer used to love that.
And what information are you trying to get? Are you just trying to improve your professional relationship with him, or I just want to relate it to a skill? That's all I would like to do.
Absolutely. I want to befriend him, and I want to figure out how many drugs this guy has brought onto my captained ship.
Okay then. So you can roll your diplomacy. You can't take 20, mainly because Hank's not that talkative, but you can take 10. So you can start with 10 and then add on your thing. So back to you, Dave. Do you want to take your 20 and tell me what your...
And then you roll the skill, do you?
No, because if you roll a skill, all it's going to do is roll a 20-sided dice, then add on your modifier.
Right.
On your character sheet,
30.
you should have an overall skill score. Yeah, so just add it to the 20. So what we will... Yeah, so you sort of like go through the whole systems and get a good understanding of what's what. You do notice that they're very... It's almost like whenever there's a bit of oil, the oil is still translucent and clear. It hasn't got that blackness to it of overuse. The electronics are top knock, and it's got a substantial amount of spares for various degrees of repair. You do notice that most of the systems all the systems, when you run diagnostics on them, come back as fully operational, and they all seem to be operating within about somewhere between 98 and 100% of efficiency. Gunnery skill from Zath. What would you can take 20, so just add on your...
I'm just looking at what my gunner skill would be, because I can't seem to... What's it based on? I'm going past the old history. Gunnery, perception check, computers check. No.
Wouldn't be basic ranged attack, would it?
I think it was.
I don't think there is a gunnery. Is there a gunnery skill?
Well, before I was using. Let's have a look.
It's probably just normal range, because I don't think there's actually a gunnery skill.
Right. So.
Well, you hope there's not.
No, exactly. Is it?
I think, to be honest with you, I think it's just range. I'm just checking.
Oh, hang on. Gunnery plus 27.
Yeah.
No,
There you go. Yeah.
Range then. Right, let's try range.
Hang on, let me just check.
I thought it defaulted down to something last time, which I was very rubbish at, but I still used.
Evade, moving, attacking. Here we go. Gunnery check is, oh yes, I remember now. It's 1d20 plus your base attack bonus or your ranks in piloting.
That's right, and I have.
But because you're a
rank
soldier, I think you get, yours is the best Babs, isn't it?
That's right, my Babs.
Yeah.
So my base attack bonus is Babs.
It's up at the top of your character sheet, if I remember correctly. It's right.
Sorry, everybody who's watching.
Mine is below saving throws in the basic attacks on the left side.
Yeah.
Oh, I have none.
Yeah.
Oh, Babs. Sorry, Babs 1. So it's same as my piloting then. No,
Yeah.
case.
So then you get to add your dexterity bonus.
So plus my dex, which is going to be 105 plus 1.
Yeah, and then just to let you know, you can then get bonuses from the computer system, captain and science officers.
That's what helped me last time, was that.
Yeah.
So we did 1d20 plus 2 in that case then.
Yeah. So your roll will be plus
2, so 22.
22. Yeah. So everything seems to be working correctly. You almost like get the feeling that these guns have only been fired in test conditions. You don't think that the Odyssey has actually had any form of real life combat. All the guns are coming back at 99 to 100% efficiency. Diplomacy. So it'd be take 10, so you'll roll 10, but add on your skill bonus in it.
My diplomacy is a 6. So if I took 10, it'd be a 16.
It's 16, yeah. And Hank's very... he doesn't seem to be incredibly motivated with this at all. He seems to be very laid back. At one point, when you take off or he activates the rift drive, he sort of like says, "And the monkey flicks the switch and flicks it, and then the rift drive activates, and he just then sort of like slumps back in his chair." You don't think he's on anything else apart from alcohol. You don't know whether or not he's got any on his person at the moment, but he's definitely still considerably hungover from the night before. However, one thing that you do notice is that he did pilot the ship quite well out of space dock. And you figure that he's probably quite a good pilot. It's just that he might have a little bit of issue if he tries to pilot hungover or even drunk. But hopefully he won't get drunk at all.
Gotcha.
Okay, so anything else that anybody would like to check or do as they're sort of like flying over?
Dave wants to access the computer, and he wants to see what planet this Ulmarid is near.
Yeah.
and how long it's going to take us to actually get there.
As
And
in,
whether, as in, oh, is it going to take us a week in?
well,
in
what are you planning on doing?
Well, no, I'm just wondering how far it is away.
Well, I mean, it's across the rift, so it is considerable. It's not sort of like just next door, but if people want to do something, then we can allocate the time rather than saying it's going to take you 6.2 hours or something like that. If there's something you want to do on the journey, then that's fine. Let me know. You do roll a computer skill. You can take 20 or 10. You'd probably be able to take 20, so just add it on because there's no sort of like limiting factors as you're going
28.
through. 28, yeah. So is there anything that you want to know specifically about the planet, or do you just want
He
generally?
was more interested to know what was around it and whether or not we were going to come out of the rift in hostile space, whether or not the space around it was, pirates.
The planet is in the vast in any case, so anything outside sort of like asylum station sort of like borders is considered hostile space in any case, and it's everybody knows that it's an area for piracy, undead ships, as you've already seen, also a fair amount of travelers, etc. The actual solar system that the planet's actually in only has 2 or 3 planets you can see via the computer readout, and one is extremely close to the star in the center of the universe, and you figure temperatures on that will be probably as high as possible. You also know that inner planet actually rotates in such a way along its axis to keep one side, a bit like the moon coming round with us, actually keeps one side, one sort of like hemisphere, directly facing the inner star. So it's constantly got a very hot side and a very freezing cold side. It doesn't actually revolve round, so you see it almost like as a dark side and a light star side. Then there's
looking at the atmosphere, etc. Are we going to need environmental
on the little planet?
The planet that we're going down to?
Yeah, well, hang on. So there's actually another planet further out in the solar system. It's millions and millions of miles out, and it has a huge orbit, so much so that you think it probably takes almost like 5 to 6 years to make a complete rotation of the star. So while we would take roughly about 1 year to get around the sun, it will actually take about 6 years to go around. You also notice on that planet it's got a very, very low gravity rating. Ulmarid, which is the planet you're going on, it does have a breathable atmosphere according to the logs. It says that not a lot of people have gone near it. It's just had the normal sort of like passing survey to see whether or not it could be terraformed, and basically it decided that due to the lack of water on the system, on the planet, it's almost like a desert planet. It couldn't actually inhabit human life. And so the basic survey was done and it was logged, and then it was moved off. It does have a band of asteroids or meteorites, or asteroids in, it's debris in high orbit, which is the result of the 2 moons it used to have colliding ages ago.
So there's no information on fauna or flora that we might encounter.
No, it basically says that it's a desert planet. It has no, according to the logs when it was initially surveyed, it had no indigenous life form. It's a rock.
Okay.
I'm getting so many quotes in this.
Yeah, there's no indigenous life. Yeah,
it's a rock. That's from Aliens.
Yeah.
And the monkey flicks the switch is from.
I don't know, but you used it in the first.
And the monkey flicks the switch in
the
that
first
context.
I'll give you another clue. Danger, Will Robinson.
Oh,
Danger.
it's from Lost in Space.
Lost in space.
Monkey flicks the switch.
Okay, so once Dave sort
That
of
was
has a look at where they're going, etc. The rest of the journey, he's going to make sure that the engineering system, there's nothing at 98%. He wants everything at 100%. So he's going to be taking off panels and having a fiddle with his engineering kits and adjusting things to see whether or not he can get all systems up to peak operating.
Yeah, and so you can do that, and the remaining of the journey goes uneventful, and it's shortly a few days in drift when Hank turns round to you, Captain Buddy Pot, and he says, "I'm about to kill the rift drives." He says, "We're here."
Excellent news. Are you intoxicated, Hank?
Negative.
Excellent.
I'm just roll
sense motive.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, roll a sense motive skill.
I already have. Don't I have expertise on this? I was just reading as part of my class. At first level, when attempting a sense motive check, you can roll d6, your expertise die, and add the result to roll.
Cool. So you can do your roll and then add a d6 to it.
Excellent. Pow!
And then your d6. Yeah, and 15. Yeah, you think he's definitely intoxicated with something. You don't know whether or not he sounds almost like drunk, but whether or not it is anything more than that, you're not completely sure. But he's definitely got something in his system that is making him quite carefree and almost like insubordinate.
Logged and noted. I'm going to keep it in my mind to watch him and make sure to, if things start to look dangerous, I'm gonna intervene.
Cool. And he flicks the switch, and the Odyssey comes out of rift space, and it sort of like does the classic where it goes, and suddenly sort of like stops, and you can see the planet ahead of you. Yeah, it's very hard to see the surface, even on magnification, because there seems to be almost like this encasement of debris right the way round, and it's obviously held in place by the gravitational pull of the planet, and it's quite amazing because you figure half of it, well, quite a lot of the moons probably collided and fell to the planet's surface. Others would have drifted off into space, but it's in this exact area that the gravitational pull was just right to hold the debris in place. They are big asteroids. You know, if your ship hit one of these asteroids, it would take damage. The shields will probably hold, but repetitive hits could eventually get through the shield.
Can I just ask, is this a ring going around, or is it a whole sphere of debris?
It's a whole sphere, so it's not sort of like...
It's not like Star Wars where they come out where they are. It's going the other way.
It's as if it's encased the planet.
So it's a shield of debris.
Exactly. And obviously you're going to have to fly through it to land the Odyssey on the planet.
Well, I don't have to.
Can... Dave wants to go on to the...
BuddyBot, there's an incoming message, has just bleeped up that there's an incoming message for coming to the ship. Yes, Dave.
Dave wants to go onto the science officer console, and he wants to run a scan to see whether or not he can get any information on the planet, maybe even pinpoint the exact place where the distress beacon is, or whether or not the debris field is blocking any ship scans.
Okay then. Yeah, and BuddyBot, you've got an incoming message. You can roll a computer check, Dave. DC's 15.
I'll access that message, and then I have something to say to Dave.
Yeah. Are you putting it on shipwide communication, or are you just accepting it yourself? Yeah.
Definitely shipwide.
So it seems to be a pre-recorded message that has been stored on the ship before you've taken off, and it looks like the proximity to the planet has actually activated it, and it's a familiar voice of Venture Captain Arvin. Hopefully your journey was uneventful. Based on your previous mission, we've obtained information about the planet of Ulmarid. The desert planet has a breathable atmosphere, but is devoid of intelligent civilization. A cloud of asteroids left over from the collision of the planet's moons long ago surrounds the planet, as you can see. So you must carefully, I repeat, carefully, navigate the Odyssey to the surface to find the crashed unbound wayfarer. Be sure to bring the Starfinder's insignia with you. They will be critical in recovering information the Starfinders left behind. If you can recover any of the lost Starfinders, alive or dead, please do so as well. Good luck. You can repeat any of the message if you wish. It's not a live message, it's been pre-recorded. Yes, Dave. What were you?
I got a 13 on my result.
And what information were you requiring, Si?
I was seeing whether or not I could pick up anything from a scan on the actual planet surface, or whether or not the debris field was
okay. Yeah. So was that what is your modifier? Because you can probably +8, isn't it? Yeah. So you could probably take 10 to do that in this situation, which will up it to 18. And there's two things that you notice, two very specific things that you notice. Number one, you can track the distress beacon of the unbounded wayfarer. It's quite clear, although you notice that the intermittent bleeps are getting further and further apart, as if it's trying to conserve internal energy. And so instead of doing it at stopping altogether, you figure that the ship's computer has taken over with the distress beacon and is increasing the length of time between the beeps. There is a location down there, but you also notice that the surrounding area around the ship is not suitable to land the Odyssey on. You're going to have to land it a little bit away, and then probably make your way to the unbounded wayfarer.
Does Dave know from checking the cargo etc of the thing, and what equipment, spare parts they have? Is there any other type of vehicle on the Odyssey?
No, it's literally, you had the spaceship. So right, it'll be a case that the spaceship will have to be landed on the surface.
Not quads or anything like that.
No, and then you'll have to walk
quads
to the actual area. There is something else that you do come up from your take 10 computer check. And it's almost like you don't see it straight away on the computer readout about the planet, and it's almost like a subsection that has been almost like added on like in a Wikipedia page or subreddit or something like that, and it's actually not detailed in the planet's initial survey. And it says something about the planet is subject to, or experiences sudden and ferocious storms. Okay, and it goes on to say of poisonous crystals. That's exactly what it says. It's not annotated to anybody in particular. It just looks like somebody's attached it to the description of the planet. You didn't see it beforehand when you first did your search, but on that one, it seems to definitely come up like a bit like a subnote.
Has Dave ever heard of anything that could be that's similar to what it's described? Has he ever heard of another type of environmental?
Well, your intelligence.
I've got a life science and I've also got a physical science.
Oh, roll physical science then.
Oh, that was a good roll. That must be
you're not aware of any. You've heard of storms, quite obviously, and you've heard of poisonous storms. Sometimes there's clouds of poisonous smoke, especially around volcanic planets. But you've never heard of anything relating to poisonous crystals.
No.
And it's almost like you would never actually write those three words, storms, poisonous crystals, together.
Okay, so Dave's going to basically relay the information that he's just got back up to the rest of the crew. He'll say something like, initial scans of the planet shows that the distress beacon is still active, but it looks like it's trying to conserve power now, and we're probably going to have to land and make our way in by foot. Oh, and there's also something about storms of poisonous crystals. I don't know what that's about.
That is very alarming. Poison crystals. Do we have any medical gear for that on this ship?
Yes.
Excellent.
Odyssey has a fully functional medic bay. So if anything went wrong, you would be able to locate on the ship. If anybody's got mobile med kits, that's what you would take down to the planet with you.
Excellent. We will want to make sure to take some of those just in case we hit one of the storms. Science Officer Dave, can you do a scan of the asteroid fields to assist our pilot?
I'll do my best to plot a course through it. But
Thank you.
They move,
I believe in you.
Yeah, so
you can help them.
What I will suggest is to plot the lightest course, and maybe I can shoot the debris out of the way.
Okay, so to start off with, Science Officer Dave, you can make a computer check. DC is 15. If you gain 15 or above, then the pilot automatically gets +2 to his roll.
Cool. Can I take 20?
No.
It's worth a shot.
What do I need to get? 15, did you
15
say?
or above, yeah.
That's a hard roll, that.
Oh, two ones, one after another.
Are you sure it's working?
Yeah, it is. You're just rubbish.
Yeah.
And so Dave sort of like sends a map, sort of like plots the course. Zath, you can roll your gunnery skill, and your DC is exactly the same. It's 15. And if you gain, if you are actually successful, then there will be the normal +2 to his piloting skill, because you're actually blasting things out the way as they come close to it as he flies down.
Fantastic. So D20 +2.
So he will gain +2 for your skill. Now, Captain Buddy, you do have an option as well. You can actually do either diplomacy or intimidation check to encourage or threaten Hank as he flies down. If you are doing that, then the DC for it is 17.
Okay.
And then you will gain, if you are successful, he will gain an additional +2. So currently he's got nothing from Dave, +2 from Zath, So you can roll a diplomacy or intimidation skill. It's up to you.
I'll use diplomacy to encourage him and give him a little pep talk.
Okay. Just before you roll, sorry, I've just noticed you can roll a piloting skill if you wish. If that's better.
It says it's a class skill for me, but I haven't put any points in it. So maybe I'm going to need to download some piloting drives when we get home. Diplomacy it is.
Diplomacy. So you need to get 17 or above rather than 15 because you're sort of like shouting it out or encouraging him at the moment. It's flying around.
You've got this. You are doing swell.
No, not that swell. Okay then.
Bang.
So okay then. So I don't care who's going to roll this, but if you would like to roll somebody needs to roll a 1d20. He has a piloting modifier of +2. Okay, that's from his own skill. It's slightly modified due to his intoxicated state, but you then also have +2 from Zath, popping off small asteroids as they come close. So you need to roll a 1d. Somebody needs to roll a 1d20 and add on 4. And just so you know, you're looking for 15 or above. And as he's so
did somebody else roll?
No, I wouldn't let Dave roll anything for the rest of the game.
I got 2.
Yeah. So he sort of like sets off, and he sort of like Captain Buddybot sort of like says, "Take us in, Dave." And sorry, take us in, Hank. And he sort of like goes, "Roger," and he's sort of like that, and he sort of like swerves down into the asteroid. And Zaf, you see him heading or almost like a collision course with an asteroid coming to one side, and you pepper it with the railgun or the forward laser and blast it to bits. But unfortunately, while you're over there doing your wonderful job, and Hank's following Dave's course that is being put in, and Buddybot, you suddenly see an asteroid almost like appear straight at the in the front of the ship, and you sort of like start saying, Mr. Hank, I think it will be a good time to take some invasive action now. And he sort of like goes, what? Like that, and sort of looks around, and it just sort of like whacks straight onto you. Somebody roll a 1d4 for me, please.
Buddybot, please.
I'm gonna let somebody roll low here.
Yeah, you wanted me, but no.
I'm not in a race anymore.
This is just where it hits.
Mr. Hank, one should always look forward.
Okay, I'll roll a d4.
Cool. Yeah, so you sort of like see it coming straight the way up, and you sort of like say, Mr. Hank, today would be a good day for evasive, and the ship goes bang into it, and the shields are up. So it sort of like clashes onto the thing, and I'm just going to see how much damage your...
Is this the thing that we all have to keep track of the Odyssey's thing, or can one person do it and it...
I'm hoping it auto updates now, because it's been a while, hasn't it? Before, with the old ship, it didn't update on every sheet, did it?
It's worth that the engineer or science officer takes over the shields. That's the best thing. So this is the damage coming to your front shields. It takes 10 points of damage as it literally flies in. And could you all make for me, please, a reflex saving throw?
With awesomeness.
I'm just going to be sliding around the ship.
I just put all 4 arms, went cling.
Let's wait for Dave's.
Sorry.
Yeah, and you sort of like, you do exactly that. You're sort of like in the gunnery command, and you suddenly, the the Odyssey whacks into it, and the front shields are still up. As Dave sort of like refers to you, Buddy Bot, and says, "Shields holding, Captain," as it sort of like whacks into it, and you feel the whole ship jolt, Zaf, but you manage to sort of like spray out all sort of like 4 arms at the same time. That actually sort of like keeps you stationary. However, Buddy Bot and Dave, you're not so good at this, and you sort of like either fall over or slide off as it sort of like hits, and the forward shields take the majority of the actual impact. And Hank says, "Sorry, Captain," and sort of like pushes the ship down into almost like a nose dive as he's going through the asteroid field. Yeah, what would anybody like to do?
Dave was probably on his way to once he'd seen it from the science station that the shields had started to take damage. He was probably on his way to the engineering console to start adjusting as it was doing. So he sort of like got thrown across. But he wants to get to the engineering station, and he wants to start diverting power to the
forward shields.
Yeah, you hear him say, "Shields at 50%."
Yeah, and you, Zaf, you sort of like look across, and you can't actually see Dave because he's actually moving behind the consoles now to engineering, and you just sort of like think, "Where's that?" Yeah, Captain Buddy.
Captain Buddy is going to try and encourage Hank again to fly more effectively, if I may, and also thank you, Dave.
Yeah, so roll your diplomacy.
You've got this.
Yes. Okay, Zaf, roll your gunner.
I would indeed.
Okay. Nat
20. That means that we ignore the asteroid field and just go straight.
It always amazes me. When people are playing the game when they don't have the dice rolls on the screen, and whenever something a really critical roll, it's sort of like 20.
Critical hit.
And I just sort of like think,
that?
and it's almost like they can you prove that? Yeah, hang a minute. Look, 20. I almost like think, can't they roll it on something like roll 20 or Fantasy Ground?
Or have a camera pointed down at the top.
Yeah. So like,
no. 6d6.
Yeah. You need to succeed in this saving throw. Oh, best roll of the night, 20.
32 on a d20.
Yeah. Or they say, there was somebody who used to say 32, not natural.
Oh
I have plus 12 or plus 13. So you actually get to engineering, Dave, so you can roll your, do you need to roll a skill roll to
so he's going to do the engineering action of divert.
Okay.
So he makes an engineering check to divert power. He's doing it to the shields, so he can restore an amount of shield points equal to 5% of the ship's PCU rating.
Okay, so you should have the PCU there.
Yeah, so 7.5 is 5%, so 8 points if he successfully makes a divert.
Okay.
Check. The DC is 10.
Plus double your starship tier.
3.
Plus 2 times your starship. So what's his starship tier? I think it's 8, isn't it? 4, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4. So that's so you need 18.
18. So this is an engineering check with a thing of 18. Now my engineering's 10, so this will come out as 11.
22. Yeah. So you actually divert shield, so you can readjust it. Either Buddy Bot or Zaf, one of you can roll the 1d20 for the next piloting skill. If you remember, you roll a 1d20. You've got Hank's bonus plus this time you've got plus. So you've got +4 last time, didn't you? So that's 2. This time you got +6 because you got 2 successes, haven't you? Yeah. So it's 1d20 +6, and you need to get 15 or above.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you sort of like he sort of like takes it down underneath the atmosphere asteroid, and he sort of like banks around, and he's following Dave's map. He's sort of like progresses, so you can see on the screen there's all these sort of like icons that are asteroids, and there's a zigzag line through that Dave has plotted. And you saw Buddybot sort of like says, what do you say to Hank as he flies?
You're doing excellent, Hank. Ignore the asteroids and the sounds they're making on our ship.
Yeah, and Zaf, you see one coming in from the opposite side, so you take the turret round and pepper it out, and Hank sort of like turns around to you and says, just following Dave's directions, following his path down to the ship goes bang, and it gets hit again. Captain Buddybot, roll a 1d4.
D4.
1, 2. There, it actually takes you from behind.
That's the worst thing ever.
Zaf, you managed to pepper the little asteroid ahead of you, and you suddenly see it on your scanners that there's one behind, and you whiz it round, and it sort of like side strikes you across the aft shields, and you take 4 points of damage on your aft shields. And Dave, you have now, that's your engineering check, wasn't it? Yeah, so, but now you need to divert power on the next one. So you've got one last roll before you are successfully through the asteroids down onto and then you can try. Well,
can I just, on this divert power, it says evenly distribute restored shield points to all 4 quadrants. Put in any excess shield points to the forward quadrant.
Yeah. So how many points are you?
So I did 8, but the other points, the other bits hadn't taken damage when I did the forward. So would all 8 go into the forward?
Yes.
Okay. So this time I want to do it. So the forward's on 18, and the aft's on 16 out of 20. So if I get this one, then I would have to do. The aft would go up by 2.
Yeah, and then it would put any excess.
Would go up by things. So this is a.
So the next round, then. So you're doing another divert power. So Dave, what are you saying to your captain?
He'll say, "Oh, we took a hit in the rear that time. I'm going to try to divert power again."
Excellent. I believe in you. You can accomplish this.
Okay, do you actually want to encourage him? Oh, no, you don't, because he's just got 27.
I mean, I'm focusing on encouraging Hank because I'm concerned about him.
Okay, then. So
I do believe in.
Okay, so diplomacy check, Captain Buddy for Hank's.
Just a note, I also believe in Zetharius. That's why you're getting ignored.
Oh, nice one. Natural. Nat 20. Nat 20. So that's +2. Zaf, gunnery skill.
Gunnery skill is going to be one of these and one of these.
Oh, my lord.
Yeah, so you're still turning the turret round to try to hit the one
shoot behind us.
And so who normally rolls the piloting skill? Well, anybody can roll it.
But the bot's now doing it because I
Can I have a go, please?
Yeah, you can have
for
a
it.
1d20, isn't it?
And +4 now.
Oh, +4. I'm gonna have a go. Here we go. Have some of that.
Nice.
Yes, succeeds in the skill.
now I don't have anything to do.
As the ship sort of like continues down, Zaf, you sort of like turn your turret round and just to check from behind, and there's nothing coming in. And Buddybot saying, I have faith in you, Hank. I have faith in you. And Hank sort of like says, I'm ignoring Dave's course now, and takes a swerve to one side. And as the ship banks round to the right, you notice that it's just narrowly missed a rather large asteroid that was coming straight from it, and he banks the Odyssey round, and you suddenly feel the judder of it going through the atmosphere, and he goes and he lands the Odyssey on the ground. Can somebody just roll a 1d20 plus 2 to see how and where he lands?
I think that's you, Medevac.
Really?
You're a team roller now.
1d20 plus
2.
4?
Only
Plus
if you
2.
do it faster. Otherwise,
Plus
you
2, is
don't
it?
have to
Sorry.
be the team roller.
Plus 2?
Yeah.
4?
I believe you can roll this.
I'll do it. Oh, 14.
14, and he's sort
That's
of like
plus 2.
he's going to land. The DC is just to see where you land, and he sort of like takes it out of the Steve dive, and everybody rattles as it goes through the atmosphere, heads down onto the planet, and suddenly you notice that there's quite a glare on the front screen, and BuddyBot says, "Polarize forward screens, please," and they go like that, and he's sort of like, it looks like as you're looking round, it's just like yellow sand or orange sand in every single direction. They seem to undulate a bit, and they seem to be quite rocky in places, but there seems to be no vegetation, no civilizations, no nothing. It looks like it's a total dead, deserted, sand-ridden place. And you can see now, as you're zooming down, your sensors are going beep, beep. That is the actual the location of the unbounded wayfarer. Would you like to say anything, Buddy, or not, as the captain?
Bring us in for a safe landing. I would like to be alive.
And he says, "No problem," and he sort of like takes it down onto an even steeper dive. And then at the last moment, he lifts up the nose and fires the reverse thrusters. And you sort of like go, it sort of like goes, you whirr, like that, and then sort of like backs a bit, and then lands quite safely. You notice that you sort of like land, and you sort of go, oof, and then all of a sudden you feel the ship goes, as it almost like sinks a little way into the sand, and Hank sort of says, I've got it, and he says, and engines off, and you appear to be landed on the planet. The only problem is, due to having to have a 15 DC dice roll for the landing, you are quite a distance from the unbounded wayfarer, and unfortunately you probably will only take off from this point. Just to let you know that Hank will not be coming with you. I know it's normal Starfleet regulations that a captain never goes on the away missions, but you are, BuddyBot, you are just like the ancient Captain Kirk. You are willing to put your life with the men and do go on the away mission. And sorry, yeah, I was just about to say, we're past half past, so we'll take a break there, since it seems an appropriate place, before you head off across towards the wreckage, which is the unbounded wayfarer. You can do things on the ship if you wish when we come back, but if you're watching the stream, we're going to have a quick 10 minutes break. We'll be back in 10, so please go stretch your legs, grab a drink, and we'll see you in 10.
Bye.
I'm trying to settle into the role.
To be fair, Mr. Pickles is doing a brilliant job at captain. It's just that we're doing some really crap roles.
Well, Dave, I think I will go home. I don't know what he's...
I just say, you don't want to do that, Dave.
We are live, by the way, just so you know.
Sorry.
Hello and welcome back. And you can probably see from the picture that the characters have landed in the Odyssey on a rather desolate looking planet. You can see what the landscape looks like. You can also see that this part that I'm pinging now, can you see that? That is the lower part, and the reason it is lower is because that is where the Unbounded Wayfarer has crashed. So if you I suddenly was going to draw something then suddenly thought I'm not
that
going
looks
to
like a penis.
Well, I was going to draw this and then thought
Yeah, that's definitely.
Yeah.
okay, right, let's
not do that.
Let's make it more rectangular.
Have you not got a cutout that you can bring in?
To be fair, it's
That
not
looks like a
that
square a rectangle.
square penis.
Yeah. Now, for some people, no matter what they see, it will be a penis.
I was going to say in French.
Oh my god, a yellow penis.
Okay, now you are roughly about 2 to 3 hours walk away from the Unbounded Wayfarer. Hank doesn't think he can take off, move and drop it again without going into orbit and then trying to land it, because basically the craft goes vertically up and vertically down. So it looks like this is the sort of like the distance that you are going to have to walk. On a positive, you can hear your readings of the atmosphere says it is breathable. However, the air is of quite a high temperature. So imagine stepping out to something about 38-40 degrees Celsius. I'm not too sure what that is in Fahrenheit.
Hot.
But it's almost like the whole and one thing that you do notice is that there's quite a wind blowing, and you can see jagged protrusions of like rock coming up through the sand, as if it's just sort of like almost like if there was plate tectonics going on and plates were whacking together, and these were just being pushed up at random places. You don't think that the air is poisonous. Well, you know it's not poisonous because all your readings from the ship actually state that it is breathable. Okay, and you think you're about 2 hours away, maybe a little bit longer, unless somebody carries Dave. Because he's only got little legs, being a Yoski.
The other thing that Dave's thinking is maybe the current climate isn't the best of times to be wearing a fur suit.
Yeah. I mean, although it does insulate you both like a cat does. You just have this tendency to, when you get too hot, you just lie stretched out on your back, trying to expose as much of your surface area as you possibly can.
How big is
before
Dave?
he does anything else, Dave wants to go onto the computer, and he wants to if he can, he wants to set up the sensors to monitor surface conditions, especially for weather, sandstorms, anything like that.
Okay, roll a
set up a notification if to notify his comm unit if there's anything that they should be aware of.
Yeah. So roll your computer skill for me, please. I'm just going to 28. Okay, that's what I'm taking. So if there's any DC rolls that need to be used to as a sensor roll, I'll take 28 as your Is that a natural 20? It will be because it's green.
Will be, yes.
Yeah, you've gone from the sublime to the ridiculous. Yeah, so as you step out of the Odyssey,
I wasn't finished yet. Is there any supplies in the actual in the bay that could be beneficial to us? Is there like any environment suits or anything like that?
Well, your armor actually counts.
Only for a certain amount of time, though, doesn't it? It only gives us something like 6 hours.
6 hours would be absolutely plenty.
There's plenty of water on board, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, all ships have recyclable water filtration in any case. So as you flush the toilet, it
recycles back into the lovely brown water.
Yes.
How big is Dave? Just so I know. Is that Rocket Raccoon size, or?
I'm
that works for me.
I'm 4 foot tall and I weigh 75 pounds.
You're how tall?
4 foot.
4 foot. So I can't put you in my pocket. What I'll do is,
you can if you've got very big pockets.
Yeah. What I'll do is, if possible, if Dave will allow me, I will boost him up onto my shoulder when we set off.
Oh, bless!
Dave sort of looks at you.
You have little legs, and oh no, wrong.
Pause.
Stop.
Yeah.
You have one has little legs and little paws, so it would seem sensible for you to ride on my back, even though it will be most uncomfortable for me. It will be better for the group if we do it this way.
Dave just looks at him and says, "One has a little brain if you think that you're carrying me."
Well, in that case, young man, will you both?
Okay, well, so with Zaf giving hard stares to little Dave, and Dave giving hard stare, BuddyBot, you suddenly realise that becoming a captain of this crew, the asteroids and Hank may be the least of your problems as you set out towards the unbounded wayfarer. And you're about 45 minutes, coming up to the first hour, away from the Odyssey, when lo and behold, Dave, you do get an indication that is bleeping you from the onboard the ship, and it comes through directly to your own hand sensor, that you've probably got on a shoulder strap, like in typical.
It comes through to his comm unit.
And there it's flashing that there's severe weather conditions on heading towards you, and just to let you know, it's heading from the way you've come, so it's literally coming towards the ship.
It's chasing us.
Yeah. And you suddenly do some mental calculations, and you suddenly realise just draw roll either your roll your computer skill for me, Dave. Yeah, you figure, you do some quick calculation, and due to the movement of the storm, it's actually moving incredibly quickly. It's quicker than you've ever seen any storm approaching. And even if you turn back now, you are likely to it's likely to overtake the ship and hit you before you get to the ship. And it's while you're receiving this information that all your communications beep. There's an incoming call from Hank, and Hank says, "I think you should look behind you guys." And you suddenly notice that there appears to be, for want of a better word, a glittering cloud coming towards you. You can see it from the ship's scanners. You can see it now, and you can see in the distance. It looks like a huge sandstorm.
How long have we got?
Until when?
Until it hits us. I mean, how fast is it? How fast is it coming? Have we got minutes, seconds?
You've got minutes rather than seconds. It is approaching quicker than you've ever seen before, but it looks like a huge sandstorm. But it seems to be glittering and catching the light as if it's full of crystals.
Yeah.
Okay, the first thing Dave's going to do is he's going to look for an outcrop of rock or something similar, something that he could maybe take cover behind.
Okay, yeah, so roll your survival check. It's right down at the bottom.
Oh, bloody hell, I must have got one hell of a roll on that, 19.
Oh, my life. It is.
Yeah, okay, then, so the DC was 15 for that. So you managed to find a suitable... You sort of like scan the area, both visually and via computers, and you see that there's an area that will actually provide certain partial cover for you when the storm hits.
He's going to start sprinting over that way, and as he's going to do it, he's going to say, "Take cover."
Where are you going, Dave? Dave, where are you going? And how far is the crash ship to where we are now?
You're about halfway between.
Halfway.
We've got minutes. 2 hours, 15 minutes to go.
I'll do the same thing. I'll look for somewhere safe to hide, as I have no idea where Dave's going. He's just running off.
Okay. So Zaf, roll your survival check. Yeah, you think you sort of like look around, and you can't see anywhere to hide apart from maybe lying down in the on the ground. You do notice that Dave seems to be heading towards some kind of outcrop when one of those things jutted up. You hear Hank, by the way, say, "This is a bloody big." You think it's just hit the ship, so it's about 45 minutes away, but it's probably travelling about 15 lots of minutes at the time. I
will turn around to Buddy Bot and say, Buddy Bot, what do you think we should do? You are the captain in this situation.
Dave, you've reached your hiding place.
I have.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's going to, before he puts himself down, he's going to activate his environmental thing on his second skin. So sort of like a hood comes out from the back and encloses his on.
Nice.
And you hear sort of like a tss as the oxygen starts going in. And he's going to try to make himself as small as possible underneath, almost like going into sort of like a fetal position.
Yeah. Cool.
To try to protect his head and his
Zaf and Buddybot, what are you doing? You can see Dave's run off, and he's sort of like curled up it like a little cat, and down behind one of these rock protrusions.
We must take cover, and with that, Buddybot is going to attempt to take cover in the sand if he can, try and dig down and bury himself in there, because I believe I can shut off my humanization drives. What makes it look like I'm breathing, whatnot. I can just lay there.
Okay, yeah. And what is Zaf doing?
Zaf is going to see what Buddy Bot is doing and say, "Interesting idea."
Okay.
Have I seen this thing before? Have I encountered anything like this before in my travels?
You can roll a. It's not going to be a culture check. Probably roll an intelligence check.
Intelligence, yeah.
The answer is no, as the storm hits. Okay, so first things first, you need to make for me reflex saving throws. to start off with. Dave, you're in cover, so you will get +4 to your dice roll. Buddybot, you have a small amount of cover, so I'll give you +1. Zaf, you don't have any cover,
0.
so you just will be making your plane. DC for this is 12.
Nice.
Natural 20. Critical
Okay, and roll.
hit.
What was mine? +4, did you say?
+4, yeah, and then +1 for.
So I got 17 in total.
17, yeah.
Oh, I can put the miscellaneous in there if I need it again. Sorry, I can put it on my character sheet, the miscellaneous.
And Buddybot.
I put 1 in temp, and I thought I rolled, but there we are.
Oh, there it is. 11. So it's Buddybot. Zaf, you as this storm approaches, you sort of like you suddenly see multiple crystals coming down and sort of like hitting left, right, and centre. They don't seem to be huge crystals, but they're definitely crystals of some description. And
Hailstorm, isn't it?
say again, sorry.
It's like a hailstorm.
Yeah, and Zaf, you managed to get out of the way of quite a lot of them, and you sort of like dive to one side and quite successful in avoiding the dense areas of this sort of like crystal shower. Dave, you're absolutely fine. You're behind an outcrop that sort of like makes you avoid the dense clusters. Unfortunately, Buddybot, you get hit by them, and you will take a total of 1 point of slashing damage as you feel it whacking against your skin. And now, could you please make for me, Buddybot, can you make for me a fortitude save of DC 12, please?
Ow.
Yeah, so you managed to find it, and as these things hit you, you suddenly realise it's registering poison, and your internal systems are bringing up poison, and you can see it flashing across your eyes, across your heads-up display, and you suddenly realise that you do have something that you're probably carrying with you, because I think you had it in the first adventure. I think you got something from the first adventure.
Let me go find where my inventory is. Oh, I've got med patches, professional clothing, laser pistol.
I'm not too sure if everybody took one. You've got some plant bulbs.
Oh
Yeah, from when we were in the garden.
Yes.
And you find that eating that actually neutralizes the poison, because you got 12, so you've succeeded in any case. But we'll play it that your memory system suddenly comes against up that you have this Yosoki gave you these plant things, and just by chewing on it you notice that it's sort of like the poison wears off, and you sort of like think, it's bloody lucky that you had that, because the outcome could have been a lot worse. Zath and Dave, you actually avoid all the dense clusters as they sort of like bash all over the place.
My skin and my place.
Yeah, and sheer luck, and it almost as if the dangerous poisonous crystal storm, as soon as it hits, within seconds, it's passed over you and heading away, roughly in the size of the I've forgotten the name of it. The bounded
Wayfarer.
Yeah, Wayfarer. But you figure it's moving a lot quicker than you. So it's not as if you're going to catch up, and you just hear all of a sudden your communications come to life and goes, big storm coming your way, as Hank finishes off his transmission that was brought off before.
I'll let you answer that, Captain, if you don't mind. And Dave, if you are going to run off to cover in the future, could you please let us know what you're doing so we can follow?
Was take cover not a big enough clue for you?
Well, we didn't know where you were going and if you had space.
And he's very small.
It seemed like appropriate information to me. I took cover.
Yeah, I just have vision of Buddy Bots, so almost like flicking the sand over him.
And there's me stood there going,
Yeah, getting sand kicked in your face.
So Dave, when Dave stands up, he's going to activate his environmental control thing again, so that his hood comes back down, so he's not using the oxygen at all.
Yeah. So you disconnect that. Yeah.
And then he wants to. Are there any crystals left on the ground?
Yeah, the majority of them seem to be embedded either in Buddybot or actually in the sand. It doesn't look it's not sort of like making the whole terrain uneven. They're actually embedded into the sand now.
All right. Okay.
If you are all okay, I say we continue on to complete our quest. Error.
I agree. And as we walk away, I'll take out my little note pad type PDA that I have, and I'll type in Yoski, high survival instincts.
Oh, bless. Yeah, and you continue towards the Wayfarer, and you're about 60 foot away, and you can probably see it now. And I'm going to just pop your characters onto the map, so we know whereabouts you are. It'll take me a while just to zoom them down a bit, because you're a lot smaller.
Don't be sizist. It's not Saturday night.
No, yes, because I should be a lot smaller.
I'm usually the smallest.
I'll just put Dave on.
Hello.
Didn't you say your strength in Mithras Medivac was a 10?
I can't remember, but it's quite. Yeah, it's yeah.
Okay.
You're as strong as Bartleby.
Really?
Yeah, he's a firm 10 as well.
So you should be able to see all your characters now.
But I use my strength with.
I see myself. I can't move myself, but I see myself.
I can't see myself.
You're up there with me at the top right.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. I can't remember.
I don't see myself at all.
If you just look here,
no, I've got nothing on it.
look carefully.
And if you turn off your invisibility, you might be better.
No,
That's
small.
small.
He's like Minnie Mouse.
I can't move myself.
No, because you.
Excellent cover.
You are so small.
There you go. I'll put you on.
That's heightist, that.
No, it's not. It's realistic.
It's realistic, yes.
You're
Don't have control.
no. Just wait.
Just as long as you
have
run up and go,
don't
boss,
have control.
boss,
Come on,
the
do your
starship,
job.
the starship, boss, boss.
I don't have control.
Okay, I don't think anybody has control until
I have control.
I don't have control. I've lost
My
my
legs have an error symbol coming out of them.
But it's everybody's nearly there. I'm nearly there with everyone.
Oh, error is complete error.
Yeah. I'll say so. You can see the Wayfarer ahead, and it looks like it's quite a simple pathway now, avoiding the higher ground and sort of like heading towards it. But as you suddenly start to move forward, can you all make for me perception checks?
No. Yes. Please.
Oh, Zaf and Buddybot in perfect harmony. It can 12, 13 and 17. Chugs, change your watch, McCoy.
Sorry, keep crashing.
Yeah. I'll get a better computer then. Yes, so you sort of like are walking, you're sort of like trudging your way through the sand, and the sand round here seems to be incredibly soft. And it's at this point that Dave, the other two, you don't feel this. Dave, and probably because of your feet, your paws actually be in the sand, you suddenly feel a vibration, and it starts off quite gentle, but as you stand here, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. What would you like to say or do?
The Dave's going to start looking round, almost like looking at the sand to see whether or not he can see any movement. And you hear him say, "Do you feel that?"
I do not, Dave. And inform us.
I don't feel anything.
It's like a vibration, as if something's moving under the sand, something big.
Is it a good vibration or a bad vibration?
It's definitely, you can't see any movement on any of the sand, but the vibrations definitely getting bigger in its amplitude, and it's almost like becoming a rumbling. And Buddybot and Zath, you actually feel it now. It's almost as if underneath the sand there's something shaking.
Dave's going to, after looking around, he's just going to break into a run, and he's going to start heading directly for the ship.
Yeah. So as
Buddybot, go left, I will go right.
Yeah.
No, you go right, so I'll go left.
And as you sort of like set off, diverting and heading off, you've only come like a couple of steps before the ground virtually underneath you erupts. Could you make for me, please, reflex saving throws? Wait, don't do it then. What you're looking for is 15. If you get below 15, you're going to be knocked to the floor. Okay, so you will be prone. If you succeed, you will be knocked a certain distance, but you will land on your feet.
I just need to see whether or not, because I've got I just need to see what my.
So yeah, so Zaf, you get knocked, but up. Buddybot, you get knocked and you're up.
I want to do a
wow, critical hit.
What is it?
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Is it reflex?
Yeah, reflex save.
Wreck yourself.
Yeah, so you all get knocked. I'm going to knock you. Then you'll see what actually appears, and all of a sudden, literally where you were, and if you hadn't made the saving throw, the chances are that it would have actually landed on you. Coming out from the ground appears to be this huge, almost like Dune worm.
I was going to say, he could control the spice control.
Yeah, and it does sort of like erupts. You think, Dave, that it's actually been following you, your footsteps, and then it's actually sort of like been almost like tailing you, and all of a sudden it's found you, and it's just pushed its way up. Everybody's rolled back out the way, but you are still actually upright. And at that point, I will bring on the tracker.
I want to put down a thumper in the sand.
Yeah, you've already done that. It's called Dave. And the first thing that you need to do, don't forget to click on your
Little token.
Your token.
Oh, I don't even know where's initiative.
I know, I'm trying to look for it now.
It's below the basic
Save it.
attacks on the left side, near augments.
Oh, I've seen it.
Other.
I've seen it. Thank you.
Oh, yes, big black.
Oh yeah, the decimal system.
Do it.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Let's,
am the Quizzer Southernack. God. Sorry, ignore that.
yeah, so you all sort of like roll away to sort of like different directions, and the giant worm sort of like pushes its way up, and it doesn't look like it's fully out of the ground, but from where you are, it's quite obvious that it's going to be able to hit any one of you in this next thing. So Zath, you're going first.
Just what sort of size is this? Is it literally the size it is on the map?
Yes,
so we're
it's
talking
large.
Sort of 20 foot.
It's absolutely huge. And just to let you know, it's not taking up that huge amount of area itself, but because it's coming through, the sound round that area,
be a swirling, horrible mess.
Yeah, so if you got too close, you can engage it at one side, but if you could, well, you can't pass it through the token as well, but it's sort of like a general overall effect of it.
Okay, let's see if this works. I would like to move
Parkour
off the sand.
So I don't just to remind you, remember that you have a standard action, a move action, and a swift action. Remember, you can't split your move. Mm-hmm. You either take it before your action or after the action. You can't move, do something, and then move away. Standard action is just sort of like an attack or anything like that. Move action is things like, remember, guarded step.
That's right.
Guarded step is a move action, but it means that you cut out the opportunity, the attack of opportunity, that would be. But things like draw, sheath a weapon is a move action. Okay, so you can't move if you're drawing a weapon, etc.
I can't move and then draw a weapon.
What's get up from prone?
Nobody's prone at the moment, aren't you? But it would be a move action.
So I couldn't move and then draw a weapon?
No.
Oh.
You can't trade a standard action for another move action?
Not that I'm...
No, you can.
It's a special skill that
you can change your move action to a swift action.
Yeah.
No other way around it.
Yeah,
Okay,
and swift action is just change grips and drop prone, unless you've got a special ability that actually does a swift action.
In which case, I shall be drawing my weapons, and then go in defensive stance if possible. Can I do that in the same move?
Defensive stance as in
bracing. If you know what I mean, draw both my hammers.
Yeah.
And then just brace, ready for anything to happen.
Yeah. Okay then. So that's you, Buddy Bot. You're up next.
I would like to do what I've been trained to do: point out who to shoot. I use this ability, which is a move action.
Correct.
The enemy I choose, the one within 60 feet, just gives a +1 morale bonus to attack rolls.
Yeah. So you shout. Get 'em. Excellent, Dave. You're up.
Okay, so Dave wants to change his move action to a swift action.
Yeah.
So the first thing he's doing is his Yoxi's racial ability allows him to stand up.
Yeah. Okay.
From a prone as a swift action.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that's what he's going. The first thing he's going to do is that. So he almost like uses his tail.
How you already stood up though?
I'm going to take it that he was prone because all of a sudden this thing came out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's going to do that, and then he holds out his hands, and there's sort of like a shimmer in, and the laser rifle that's strapped onto his back automatically appears in his hand. It sort of like teleports into it, and he'll fire a shot.
What's the teleport spell?
It's the augmentation of cold fusion. A weapon with this cold fusion can be teleported to its owner's hand in a swift action.
Okay, so you're using a move. You're changing a move action to a swift action, and using your swift action
to teleport my gun into my hand.
Okay,
and then I'm using my normal action to fire.
Okay, I'm not aware of that, so go for it. So roll your dice.
Don't forget your bonus.
Yeah, you get +1 bonus from.
I don't know where to put that in actually.
We'll just add it to the end. It
Okay.
would be obvious.
I think I can just roll my weapon skill, can't
And
I?
what's the well, no, I think if we do this right, you should have an attack, and I think you roll the attack because then it automatically does the damage after it, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's if you do your weapon one.
Yeah.
So if I do this.
Yeah, so your attack was 6, which misses even with the addition. Is that with your additional +1?
No, because there's nowhere to put that on.
Okay, so that's 7, and that still misses. Is that an energy weapon? Is it kinetic or energy? It's energy. Yeah. So that misses. Okay, so it's the giant worm's turn now, and since you've just blasted it with a shot, it's going to come down and try to engulf you. Hang on, I just need to see what this ability does. Seems quite logical that it's going to attack the one that's just fired a weapon at him. No.
I did use the cold fusion thing in the first adventure.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
I remembered it. It's cool.
Yeah, it is. It's real. I remember that. It's very awesome. It's just like zip, like the cable thing in Deadpool.
Okay, so
I had it.
yeah, it sort of like opens its mouth, and you think it's going to. Both of you see it open its mouth, and it's almost as if it's going to come down and eat Dave Hull. But at the last moment, it seems to blurt something out. There seems to be no physical thing coming out of the mouth, but there's this almighty screech as it fires down onto you. And can you make for me a reflex saving throw, DC 12, and tell me whether or not you succeed. Succeeding will half your damage.
I succeed.
Yeah, okay. So you will take...
I don't even know where's hit points?
You take 13 points of damage as it bleeds. It's up near the top, I think, on your sheet.
Top right below character details. Health and resolve.
Yeah.
Ability scores.
Yeah, 13. So you take 6 points of damage because you made your save. And excellent. So Zaf, we're back up.
And what was that from?
It's like a sonic screech that it blasted out at you.
Right. So the sandworm is now out with its neck protruding at.
Yeah, you can hit it. Yeah.
No, I don't want to hit it. I want to run up. Well, I do want to hit it, but I want to try and get on its back first.
Okay then. So
I want to try to. What do the sides look like of it? I mean, I'm assuming I can hopefully get some handholds and climb up.
I mean, what you'll need to do is make a successful athletics roll to get up there, and then depending what the beast does, it'll probably be like a fortitude or a reflex saving throw to keep attached to it. Because obviously it's not going to just keep that. But roll.
That's just me, to be quite honest. But yes.
Roll your athletics first. Yeah, so you all see that Zaf makes a run and jumps, and he's now literally on the back of this this beast as it's up there. Buddybot, you up?
Buddybot is going to my ability ends at this point.
Yeah.
I would like to draw my laser pistol as a move action.
Correct.
And then as a standard action, I would like to attack with it.
Okay, go for it. Roll your it's an energy weapon, so its DC is 16.
I think this is the best button to use.
So you fire off the laser pistol, but it actually misses, and you sort of like, you're probably trying to avoid hitting Zath, who's is on his back, and it sort of like just moves out the way. Dave, you're up.
Dave is going to move up to one side as a
move action.
And then he is going to cast a spell. So
Cool.
you see like green glyphs appearing around his around his laser rifle as he starts to
Charge
cast
it. Yeah.
that. So I don't know what's between stamina points and hit points.
You take
So I had 7 hit points and I took 6. Does it come off stamina points first or not?
Yes. Stamina points are like stun damage.
Right.
So it goes off stamina points first, and then it goes on to hit points.
Okay, so what happens if your stamina goes down to 0?
You've got nothing. I don't think you need
You
to.
can refreshen by resolve, is it?
Correct.
Right, that's okay then. Okay, yeah, that's fine. I didn't know whether or not it came straight off my hit points first or whether or not.
No, it comes off your stamina. It always comes off your stamina
Right, that's
first.
fine. Okay,
yeah,
I'm sorted.
I forgot about that. Actually, you can refresh stamina points by spending 1 resolve point and taking 10. And
it's just when you said I couldn't remember what the rule was.
Yeah, so that's you done, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So now the giant worm goes next, and it notices that it sees Dave going out the way, but it's also just seen a shot come over by you, Buddybot. So it turns round its head and tries to take a nifty bite out of you. There. 29 will hit, I would have thought.
Definitely. My armor class things are strange. They're not including my dexterity, but you would have hit either.
And you take 5 points of damage. You manage to get. You definitely don't take the full blunt force of it, but it sort of like piles into you, and you sort of like. You feel it's just sort of like sink through your armor and make contact on it. Zaf, could you make a reflex saving throw for me, please?
I certainly can. The reflex.
Yeah, and the sudden change of direction of it sort of like knocks you off, and I'm just trying to think which way the force will be. You'll probably come off this side.
Yeah, if he went left, I'll go right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you land. You lose things. Just make an athletics roll as you get chucked off. Yeah, and you sort of like roll very adeptly and sort of like come back up to your feet as it's your turn to go.
In which case, I don't seem to have any. I want to climb back on top again.
You're in melee range of it if you would like to hit it.
I will hit it in that case. Then.
Yeah. Okay then. So this would be kinetic armor, won't it?
Yeah. And this is my hammer assault,
yeah.
which will be hopefully.
So it's 14 that you need. Yeah.
So damage of 5.
5 points of damage off it. Yeah, you sort of like whack into it, and you feel that it goes off its semi-hard chitin outer skin, and you make a dint in it, and you notice that some kind of greeny, yellowy, pus-like stuff oozes from it that you figure is probably blood. Buddybot, you up.
As my move action, I would like to, of course, use this and point at the worm. The one that Zatharius is hitting is the target.
Everybody goes, glad you said that, Buddybot. We were...
Oh, this one!
My standard action, I'll give a little bit of firepower. Pew pew.
8 misses, yeah. And we move on to you, Dave.
So Dave's going to fire this supercharged.
Yes, because it's your next attack, isn't it?
Shot, yeah. So what's the to hit on it?
Is it?
It's an energy weapon.
My armor class is 16.
Yeah.
+1 though.
22 hits, so
nice.
you get 2 points of damage for your laser rifle, but then you get the supercharge, don't you?
Yeah, which is an extra 2d6.
I thought it was
Nice damage. As a massive red bolt just fires from the gun, almost like knocking Dave over backwards.
Hang on a minute. The attack deals 4d6s additional damage if the weapon is on a single target attack, or 2d6s additional damage if the weapon attacks all creatures within an area.
Oh, right, 4d.
4d.
So you need another 2.
Wrap it up.
I'll just roll it all at once, so 15.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's 15 points of damage of this. Yeah, and Dave's all go as this huge.
So what did it is? So 17 in total.
17 in total. Yeah. So let me just put that in, and then take away 17. Yeah. That opens a huge gaping wound in it, and you can see that it actually causes the worm to sort of like rear up and almost like give a shriek. Buddybot, can you make me a perception roll?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you notice, just as you sort of like firing off a shot, you notice that just here, I'm going to ping, there seems to be this sort of like, it looks like a barrel of a gun that is actually coming out of the sand. It doesn't look like a rifle. It looks more like a gun, i.e. From a spaceship or something like that, or maybe mounted, that is being mounted on a ground vehicle or something like that, and you just sort of like catch it out the corner of your eye and you can see it. Right, it's my turn. Right, I am going to, who was the last person? Me. Oh yeah, so I think you did loads of damage to it, didn't you?
Yeah, probably run, does it?
I'm just knocking at it. It's like, hello.
So it turns round and it tries to. It can't actually bite you because you're out of range, but it can sonic scream you. So make a whatever I said before.
Reflex?
Yeah, a reflex.
No.
That fails, so that's going to be that. So you take 12 points of damage as it blasts a sonic ray at you, and you feel the sort of like the repercussions of that, Zaf, as it piles past you as well. You're safe because you're out of the cone effect.
I'll be looking and going, no.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's gone. That's taken off my hit points. Taken off my hit points again.
Okay.
So that's taken it to 0.
Okay.
And then taken, if it had to go negative as well.
Right, hang on then. So
taken all the negatives off.
Okay, so you can let me just see what happens there.
I had this last game, I think.
So if you go down to I always forget where this is in the. I think it's in healing, isn't it?
I'm just trying to.
It's in tactical combat. Who's next in the order?
That's me.
Yeah. So hang on. Right, injury and death. I found it. Okay. So stamina points, hit points. Damage doesn't affect you until your hit points reach 0. If you take damage to your hit points equal to or greater than your hit points you have remaining, you are reduced to 0 hit points and you are unconscious and dying. Okay, it doesn't matter how many stamina points you later regain. So you are now damaged. Okay, then so if you take a damage from a single attack that reduces you to 0 hit points, and there is damage remaining.
Yeah.
You die instantly if the remaining damage is equal or greater than your maximum hit points.
Okay, so I die instantly.
So what's your hit points?
7.
Oh, no.
7, and you
Have you got stamina?
You took 6 points. You took 12 points of damage. Hang on.
I had 5 left, so that took it to 0.
Yeah.
And then the next 7 took my maximum hit points, which was 7, which is instant death.
Hang on. So what's your maximum hit points?
7.
If you take
equal.
If you take damage from a single attack, equal or greater to your maximum hit points.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just So it turns around to Dave and it just literally blasts it with a huge sonic blast, and Dave meets a grisly end. Just let me check. Maximum 22, but she currently has 5 hit points and 0 stamina. If she takes 30 damage from an enemy, it's reduced to 0 hit points with 25 remaining. Since this damage is greater than a hit points, she dies. Yeah.
Equal or greater to.
Yeah. So you just you punch it out at it, and with a huge gap in its side, and it just turns around and just blasts this sonic scream at you, and it just Buddy Bot and Zaf, you just see this sonic scream sort of like shatter. It shakes Dave for a while, and then it literally just goes and he literally almost like vibrates to death and dies. Zath, you're up.
There's no chance of bringing Dave back.
No, he is full stop dead. That's it. I'll put a little cross on him because he took more hit points. He took more hit points. Okay.
Yeah. See this. I am going to fly into a controlled rage.
Okay.
And I will look at the worm, and I will. It's still within combat, is it?
Oh yes, it's still in combat. Yeah.
I'm gonna. Sorry, close to me. Sorry, I'm gonna hit it.
Yeah. Do you get any bonuses for being in a raid? Is that a special attack?
No, I wish it was.
So your kinetic armor class is 14.
+1 from knowing the target.
Yes. That's right. Yes.
You know who to kill.
There's nothing else I can use. Is reflexes. I've got all those bonuses on. Reflex saves. Blah blah blah. Done.
Yeah, so you whack it, but you need 14. Yeah, so is that either if it's is it +1, Buddy Bot, or
+1?
+1. Yeah, so even with that +1, you don't manage to hit it.
So once I've hit it, can I move still, or is that? Can I attack and then move?
You can move now if you wish, but if you move outside of its range, i.e. away from it, it will get an attack of opportunity on you.
Okay, I will stay with it.
Who's drawing?
That's me. Sorry, I forgot I had the thing on that. I can't delete it.
Okay, yeah. Okay then. Anything else that you would like to do?
I will defensive stance, please.
Okay, cool. Buddy Bot, you're up.
Move action, of course, to say who we're getting revenge. On, and then standard action. A little bit of that pew pew pew. No. Your gunnery skill is absolutely hopeless.
No.
So Dave can't act. It goes back to the worm.
Dave killer.
Neither of you hit last time, didn't you?
No. 50-50.
Okay then. So who would like to be odds and who would like to be evens?
I've always been told that I'm odd.
Okay, so you could be odds then.
I'll be even, I guess.
It turns round and you're in melee range, so it can bite you.
Yeah, come at me. At my,
it gets 20.
It should be 12. for me.
Yeah, it gets a 27, so you take 6 points of damage.
6 points?
Yeah. Are you still up?
Yes, I have 4 hit points.
Cool. Zaf, you're up.
I'm kind of still shaking, really, but I'm going to be going in there, guns blazing. I will hit it again.
Yeah, go for it. 14.
Oh, God.
Actually hits.
8 damage. That's 16, and there's a plus 20 damage on that because Mr. Pickles loves me. No, there isn't.
Yeah, we called it Amriel.
It doesn't.
Yeah,
It doesn't actually. That +1 doesn't go for damage, doesn't it?
No, it's just attack rolls,
Okay.
and it's a morale bonus.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, and Buddybot, you're up.
Continue with the morale.
Yeah, as a move action.
And shoot, I scrolled away from my gun. Where'd my gun go? This is why I can't even hit anything. How?
Oh,
18
crit.
hits.
On a hit damage.
Just fiddling with the settings on it. Why isn't this hitting? Pew!
Oh, that's horrible.
So you do 4 points of damage. Yeah.
4 squiggles.
Yeah, 4 squiggles. Yeah. So this beast looks rather damaged now. It's got laser shots out of one side, and you've hammered it through the other side. And now it does. It starts to head off back down into the sand. So both of you will have an attack of opportunity of it on it as it buries itself back into the ground.
I'll look over at Dave and then look at this thing and say, "No," and bang.
And you hit it, yeah.
That's good damage.
Buddybot. Yeah, you sort of like aim where it is, but it suddenly gets out the way and you fire the thing. It had 6 hit points left. So you're 10. As it tries to dive away at it, you just whack it again with your hammer, and it dies before it can actually crawl back into the sand. Yeah. Yeah, so poor Dave has been vibrated to death, and he's just sort of like he's not exploded, but
It's just a mess.
yeah, it's a bit like no, he's dead. He's dead. He's almost like roadkill.
So I'm getting rid of Dwarf here. He's dead, Dave. No, Dave, he's dead.
Yeah, and you sort of he looks a bit like roadkill at the moment. He looks like he's sort of like a squirrel that's been run over or something, and he's just sort of like all higgledy-piggledy, and there's a bit of blood draining out of his mouth.
Should we bury him on this planet, or is it Starfinder
We'll
protocol to take him back?
It probably you would take him back.
Yeah.
If anything. But whether or not you could probably carry him to the ship.
Yeah, let's take our fallen comrade to the ship.
Yeah. And so
I'll carry him because I'm probably stronger.
Yeah. So you can carry him, and you notice, Zaf, when you pick him up, he's really fragile and floppy.
Oh.
Now, and you figure that he's got so loads of broken bones in from the sonic attack. You figured that it probably actually burst his heart inside him as he comes along. And what I'll do now, just hold still, because I'll put you onto my next map. Which hopefully you can just see darkness.
Ooh, that's nice.
I can see kind of like it looks like a ship, back into a ship.
Hang on a minute. Oh, hang on.
I'll close my eyes. Yeah, darkness. That's
darkness. Okay, cool. Okay. Now, who's got infravision or thermographic vision?
I have torches. And oh God, sorry.
I wasn't saying anything.
I think androids have dark vision, thermographic or something, don't they?
Oh Oh yeah, it's up at the top. I have low light and dark vision 60 feet.
60 feet. So I will put yours on. And what about you, Zaf?
I have 2 flashlights, which I usually have close to myself, like the hammers.
Yeah.
My other hands I used to see where I'm going.
So that's 30 there. Okay, so hopefully what you can see is that you're at the back end of the ship. This part here and this part seem to be the 2 main engines on either side. And just in the middle of you here, that is a like a cargo door.
Yep. Yeah, shuttle bay. Yeah. Can we open it? Is there any control panels or anything that I can see?
Yeah, you're if you roll for me, you'll need to roll for me either. I'm just getting my character sheet back. You need to roll either a computer's check in order to figure out, because it looks like it's in almost like an emergency shutdown mode. So if you roll your computer.
Oh, sorry, I'm literally just looking for a control panel.
Yeah, there is. It looks like it's controlled. Yeah.
Yep. Buddybot, over
Yes.
here.
I will take over this job for you.
Thank you.
Beep boop beep.
Yeah, and you sort of like take the panel off the door lock and sort of like reconnect some of the wires, and the door slips open.
You first, Seth Arias.
I will lead the way. I've got both my torches out, and I will move. I'm assuming there's 2 doors.
Okay, so you what you can see here, this is a set of stairs going up here.
Oh, right.
And a set of stairs going up here. Can you see that?
Yes.
And then I'm going to ping where the doors are. All doors are closed. There seems to be a reddish glow in the internal part of the ship. It looks like it's almost like it's in emergency shutdown mode. And it's almost like activated maybe its own beacon or something like that. There's a doorway here, and then the same on the opposite side.
Opposite. Wonderful.
So one here.
I will say to Buddybot, can you keep an eye?
Yeah, sorry. One other thing. When you come into this place, you can see lying on the floor, just here, is a dead what must appear from the jumpsuit, etc., is some kind of Starfinder Society operative. However, one thing that you do notice is that he's virtually desiccated. It looks like all the moisture has been drained out of him altogether.
How long has this ship been crashed?
Quite a while now.
Oh, it's quite a while. Sorry, right. Okay, that's fine. I will say to Buddybot, can your sensors detect any toxicity in the air, or are we fine?
I will attempt to do so. Is there something I can roll?
Yeah, you can roll your computer skill.
Oh, I did not mean to send 100 of those.
It doesn't matter, because either one would, 24 or 28 would have been fine. Yeah, so it's actually, there seems to be nothing wrong with the air. It just seems to lack all sense of moisture at all. The humidity in the air is probably about -5%. It's so dry that, you can even feel it on your mouth that it's dry and not working.
Okay, in which case we shall take up the right, because right's right.
I would like to investigate the downed Starfinder crew member.
So he doesn't look, what basically is left of him, he's almost like a dried out husk. he seems to still have his jumpsuit on. He hasn't got his insignia because you've got those. Roll either medicine or a first. A medicine roll.
24. Bring in.
Yeah, it looks like he's died roughly of natural causes. It doesn't look like there's any sort of like mortal wounds on him at all. It's almost like he looks like he's almost like dehydrated himself.
Gotcha. I'll keep my laser pistol drawn and motion for Zetharius to lead on.
Okay, so
what do you think, buddy? But the right door straight on, or one of the others?
Right door.
That sounds sensible.
Yeah, and there seems to be internal power here that is actually opening the doors, but it is on auxiliary power. It's not actually full power, and hence why there's no lights. You can see what you can see in there. It just seems to be some kind of resource room, like storage, etc.
Oh, right. Literally, I can see that. Right, okay. But so I come back out. We'll leave it open if possible, so we can know we've been there.
Okay, you could probably find something to wedge it open.
Yep, and we'll go straight ahead.
Yeah.
Straight ahead.
Oh.
Okay, so this opens up into almost like a communal area. It's quite big, as you can see. There's another door. There's a door here. There's a door here. And there's a big door here. It seems to be almost like a communion area. And in this place, there's another 2 desiccated corpse. One is actually over here, slumped down one of the chairs here. And there's another one generally in front of you. It looks like it was sat on a stool, but has fallen off.
Okay. I will move to the big door, and I will say as I'm moving to Buddybot, would you mind just checking these bodies out to see how they died?
I will indeed. I don't think we are going to find any survivors, though.
No, but it would be nice to see how they actually died through natural causes.
Yeah, Buddybot, it's very similar to the person in the first cargo bay. He's definitely, they look like they've died of natural causes or almost like fallen to sleep and then slowly be desiccated, probably in the dry atmosphere. It's almost as if they've been almost like mummified. Yeah.
Sorry, I shouldn't tell one.
I had to share that information, of course.
So it seems that the ship has literally crash landed here, and then they have failed to survive and been dried out.
It appears so. It appears they lack some of the natural cunning of our late friend.
Could you both roll for me perception rolls?
Natural 1.
You don't notice anything. Zav, you do.
World.
There's 2 things that you notice. You notice that the ship you think is on a decline like that, and you're heading down towards it as if the nose crash landed into the sand. And you also notice that it's not a steep one, but it's almost like everybody's almost like the Mary Celeste. They doesn't look like there's been any struggles or anything like that at all.
They've literally sat down and died.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll push on forward, open these big doors, and we will move forward.
Okay, so this door opens up, and you appear to be in some kind of room area. You can see the beds. This is obviously the crew's sleeping arrangement places. And you can see there's only one door out of it, and it's straight ahead of you.
Big double door again?
Yeah. And this one opens, and you find on the opposite side that you're into what appears to be the bridge.
Really?
It's this part here is underground. You're actually underneath the sand now, as if it's literally taken a nosedive into it, and it looks like a lot of the area, some of the paneling, there's almost like a see-through panel round the edge of it, is actually all cracked and damaged. You also notice at this place there's a computer that actually looks like the Starfinder insignias will actually fit into it.
Let's do it. Buddy Boss, would you mind? I know you are the captain and I'm following your orders, but would you mind operating the computer for us?
Absolutely. More than capable of doing that.
Yeah, and sure as you bring the insignias out, it's almost as if the computer comes to life, as if it's recognized that the insignias are there. And you do notice that the red lighting dips slightly as the main power seems to be pulling the main power off the, almost like the life support, into getting the computer up to full strength, and putting in the insignias. The computer comes to life, and you can see that there's various readouts, and that there's several things that you can get. And just so you know, I'm going to tell you this, then I'm going to stop. We'll stop there, because otherwise Chuggerwuggers is going to be sat there for the rest of the session.
He's gone.
Has he gone?
He's gone.
All right. So what?
Yes.
That's now.
As it comes to life, you notice several things. The first thing that you notice is almost like a recap of the last moments, and the last moments is that the Wayfarer actually got attacked by pirates, which caused it to crash land. You also find the following information. I'm going to pop it into the slot. This seems to be information that they've gathered as they've come through, and you can see that there's 4 worlds there, or asteroids that it's come to the actually decided where it is. Interestingly enough, the actual locations of these you figure was probably stored once, but there seems to be a lot of corruption in the actual computer, and that's the only information that is available. Okay, so I think that would be a good point to stop it for tonight. Chugs is gone, but well done. Poor Dave has met his aim. Do you know, I think that is the first time that the last time people died in an adventure of mine was in one of the D&D ones, and they all complained that it was overpowered and we had to play it again. But yeah, poor. Yeah.
I feel the urge to say, last poor Dave, his name off. What he thought was HO2 was H2SO4.
H2SO, sulfuric acid.
Yes.
Yeah. So we will decide what happens. Chuggerwugger's not here, but he can all.
We can. So yes.
Yeah.
He'll be fine. He will be fine.
He will be fine, and we can bring him in next week as a desiccated crew member, or something like that.
God was alive.
So we'll be able to bring it in, unless he says no, I don't want to, which that would be his choice. So yeah, so well done. A big creature. Lurking in the sand.
That was scary. That was June scary.
Just to let you know, the gun out there could have actually been used.
Gotcha. I'm not proficient with guns, and then I kind of forgot about it.
Yeah, I was hoping you weren't going to use it with your with your to hit roll.
I thought it was Sneaky Ninja. I didn't want to say anything because I hadn't seen it, but I thought it was going to be somebody sneaking behind us.
No. Well, that's why I played it like that, so you weren't aware one way. But
Defunct artillery.
Yeah. So excellent. So we'll pick it up next week, and then we can have Chug play a desiccated crew member, or even Hank might come running into the ship of one.
Freddie might appear.
Yeah.
She might have followed us.
Yeah, Frankie might appear with Babs.
Frankie, you never know.
Yeah, you never know.
That would be very awesome if she did.
Yeah, so we will be back next week. We'll be playing on Saturday, where we'll play a fancy role-playing game based in the continent of Odes on Mithras, which is a D100 system. So if you enjoy that, then please come along and watch us then. I'll be streaming tomorrow and over the weekend, probably with some Elder Scrolls, or maybe even back to Sims 4 and see if I can avoid getting vampires walking into my bedroom late at night and eating me.
I had to playtest Sims 4 for my kids before I gave it to them.
Of course, yeah.
Because you do, yeah. And I spent the whole day doing my life.
Yeah. Well, I think Chuggerwugger put in the Discord, he says he wishes that I was married in the game, doing a menial job with several kids. But I'm not doing that. I do fancy being a...
You're playing yourself.
Yeah, well, but I do fancy being a secret agent because that was actually a career. So, so we will be back later on. And thank you very much for coming along and supporting the stream. And I'll just say to each and every one of you, before you go, please remember to be who you are and say what you think, because the people who mind don't matter and the people who matter don't mind. Have fun, guys, and I will catch you all later. And until then, happy role-playing. See ya.
Bye. Thank you for watching.